So it's time to buy a used car. What car are you going to buy? How are you going to inspect it? And what are you going to do? So let's say you were looking at this Subaru Outback right here, and this is a car you wanted. Well, it's the color you like. Maybe it's the car you want. But what am I going to check out on this vehicle to make sure that it's okay to buy and I'm comfortable buying it? Well, one thing that you can do is purchase a PPI, which is a pre-purchase inspection. Now, the dealership that you're purchasing it from, or the used car lot, or the individual won't do the PPI for you. You will find an independent mechanic of your own that you trust to do that, and you'll pay an hour's worth of service. They'll check the tires, the brakes, the engine, the transmission. Now, of course, they can't guarantee those things for life, but they can at least give you a report. But what if I couldn't afford a PPI? What if I know a little bit about vehicles and I want to check it myself? What are some of the things that I would check? So first of all, the easy stuff, right? We'll go around the car. We'll check for any body damage. We'll check for scratches like on this vehicle. We'll check for places where we might see potential repaints from an accident that wasn't on our Carfax report. Simple signs of repaint. Body panel mismatches, for instance. We may see gaps on hoods be different on either side. We may see even at the door level gaps that are different. One of the other things that you can look for is just the color difference. Are the two colors of these two close but not the same? Maybe it got repainted. You can also look for white residue from compounding. So let's say this panel was painted. Well, when they're finished with the painting process, they'll do a wet sand and they'll do a compound and a polish. Sometimes that white residue gets stuck in cracks. It can go in the hood creases, the hood gaps. It can get on weather stripping. So take a look for those type things which could indicate potential repaint. And it may just be that it had a lot of bugs or tar or things that damaged this hood, and so it got repainted, as an example. I would also check out headlights. Make sure that your headlights work and all the bulbs work, all the blinkers work, all the brake lights work. Easy things. Fog lights. Those cover some of the basics. The other thing that I would do is check the glass. So most manufacturers will place the name of the manufacturer at the corner of the glass. So if you take a look at this Subaru as an example, you will notice that at the corner of that glass on that door, it says Subaru. This windshield does not say Subaru anymore, which indicates to me that at some point this glass was replaced. In fact, as you look at this and you see the glue and weather stripping that is kind of deteriorating, it indicates to me that maybe whoever replaced it used a little bit cheaper product. Be careful with replaced windshields. Yes, they can be decent, but oftentimes they're less quality than the original manufacturer. Sometimes they can leak and sometimes they can make noise. So when you take this car for a test drive, keep the radio off and listen for noise. That's one good thing to do. If it has electronic mirrors, whether they're folding or whether the mirror itself is electronic, test to make sure that they work. Simple. Make sure that the windshield wipers work. I know these things sound obvious, but sometimes we forget to check all these things, and sometimes they do break. When you get to the tires, look for a brand that you recognize. Is it a Michelin, Yokohama, Toyo, Continental, Dunlap, Bridgestone, BF Goodrich, whatever it is? Look for something that you recognize. If it looks like a very cheap, no-name brand that was bought at a facility, do your research and see if those are the tires that you want. Because a lot of times dealerships will replace decent tires with cheap tires that have good tread. So be careful. Speaking of tread, here's another thing that you should pay attention to is the actual tread depth that's left. You can go on Amazon and get a tread depth tool for about $5 or $6 and take it with you. And what you do is you go on the tire and any of these tread gaps, you will stick that tread tool and you'll look to see the depth. What you're looking for is even wear across the tire. So for instance, let's say in the back, I had 9 30-seconds of tread left, and you'll see that on the tool. But over here I have 6. That means the alignment on this car could be potentially out. We could have suspension issues that we need to work on. So check for that. When you take the car for a test drive, take it at multiple speeds. If they're like, oh, just go around the block. No, indicate that you want to take it potentially on the interstate. You want to check for vibrations while you're going down the interstate. You also want to check the braking. So take your hand off the steering wheel, but not in a dangerous situation when you get close to a stop sign, or just lightly hold it and apply firm pressure. Does it pull to one side or another? In other words, when I hit the brakes, does the car go to the right? Does it go to the left? Now, sometimes road deviations or the way the road's kind of, graded can cause that issue. But pay attention to how the car feels when you brake. Does it shake, causing potentially warped rotors? Does it squeal because the brake pads are low? Those are things to think about. Another thing, when you're driving it, I know the radio is important, but listen to the radio in the parking lot and then turn it off. When you're test driving this car, you want to listen to the motor, you want to listen to the transmission, and you want to make sure there's no road noises, squeaks, and things that you would be concerned about after you get home with this vehicle. In addition to that, take it for long enough test drive that you would know whether or not this vehicle overheats, whether or not this vehicle has shifting issues, whether or not it stalls at red lights. There's all these things that can happen on a test drive. And unfortunately, dealers and used car dealers will oftentimes put temporary fixes in place that'll maybe last on a 10-minute test drive, but maybe it won't go for 20 minutes. And if you're spending big dollars on a car, you don't want to be in a situation where you missed some of this. So you've checked your headlights, you've checked your glass, the mirrors look good, that's working, tires look good, brakes feel good. Well, maybe I'll buy the car. Okay, there's some other things that you're going to want to check. Get into the car. Smell. Think about musty smells, moldy smells that could indicate any water intrusion. If you're at a used car dealership and it smells extremely fragranced, like they're trying to cover something up, I urge caution, because sometimes, yes, they put new car smell, but sometimes they do that because they're trying to cover up an existing smell, be it a smoker, dog, or pet smells. Those things can be real. If it has power seats, check every function: forward, back, leaning, or incline and recline. If it has heated seats, try the heated seats. Try the air conditioning. Try the heat. Even if it's summer, turn the heat on and drive it around. If it's got a backup camera, check the backup camera. Check the mirrors. Check the parking brake. If it doesn't have floor mats, so many dealerships get rid of floor mats. Ask for a set of floor mats. Ask for the rubber ones if you want them. Make it part of the deal. Check every automatic window. And don't just check it from the driver's side. Check it from each door. Sometimes those switches can go bad. Check that the door locks work. Check if it's got a key fob that the door locks work with the key fob. Check that the key fob works in and of itself. If it has a electronic lifting hatch, make sure that it works. Make sure that the buttons to lift it in the car work. Make sure that the key fob buttons for that work. Seatbelts. No, this sounds crazy, but how many times have you pulled a seatbelt out, right? You whoop, and it won't retract. Little things like that can be costly for you to repair. Make sure, of course, the standard things, that there's no engine light going on. Now, there's a caveat to this engine light situation. It is not unusual for a car dealership to come in and they will grab their scan tool, right? So let's take a look at what that might look like for you. So I put one in this car so that I can monitor it as I drive it. Excuse my glove box trash. So you can purchase yourself one of these for 30 bucks online, borrow one from a friend. You plug that into the OBD2 port, which on most cars is going to be somewhere under the steering wheel. It is clearly shaped so you will know where it goes, and you can scan and look for whether or not this car has any check engine lights, because some dealerships will, I hate to even say this, will pull those lights out of the dash, or they'll cover them up with paint so that you can't see them. And if you're in a county or a location that requires emissions, that is going to be a problem for you. But there's another important point about that check engine light. It might have had one, and you call and you say, hey, I got this Subaru Outback, I want to come drive it. And so you go, you call the salesman. He's like, hey, Bob, run out there and clear that check engine light that was on that Subaru. So by the time you get there, it doesn't look like it's got a problem. You take your own scanner and you plug it in, and it will tell you if the codes have recently been reset. That is important. And if it has, there may be a valid reason. They may have repaired something. So ask them, why did you do the codes recently? What they'll probably say is, oh, we had to unhook the battery for something, or we replaced the battery. Okay, look at the battery. Does it look new? Does it have corrosion? Does it look like it's been replaced? Speaking of that, that brings up an important point. Check your car battery. In fact, let's take a look at the one in this Subaru so I can show you what I'm talking about. So you go to look at a car and you're like, yeah, man, everything's good. Everything is checking out. Think I'm going to buy it. Well, I just hate to tell you that their expense of a car battery has gone up significantly over the past few years. So this is a AAA battery, but almost all batteries will have a date on it. In this case, this battery is from August of 21. So this battery is 4 years old. That 4 to 5 year range is the max. In fact, we're going to replace this one. If you see an old date on the battery, ask them to replace it and make it part of your deal, because you don't want to spend $200 on a battery right after you buy a car. Those are some of the basics. Those are some of the things that you can do to make sure that you're okay buying this car. All in all, you could do all of those things within an hour at a car dealership. And the salesman's going to get annoyed. He's going to tell you how great the car is. They've got a 3,000 point inspection, and here's our report. Never trust the report from the dealership. Do you think that a dealership is going to use their own service department to their advantage or disadvantage? Yeah, they're going to use it to their advantage, right? Hey guys, yeah, just replace the brakes and we'll say we did the test, right? Yeah, we replaced the brakes and we put 2 new front tires on it. Only 2 tires? How about we do all 4 so they match? So be careful buying cars. Do your basic checks. If you can't afford a PPI, I recommend a PPI. And just realize that used cars are going to have problems like all of them. Be prepared. I always recommend this. If you go to buy a used car, don't use all your money for your down payment. Keep $1,000 to the side, if you can do so, or some form of money, so that you can potentially, in the next few months afterwards or shortly thereafter, hopefully not, put a little bit of money into this vehicle if you have to. If you've got any other questions about things you can check or want more in-depth coverage of how to perhaps look at a used car, let me know in the comments. Until then, keep wrenching and having fun. One Goofy Garage, out.